Namaste everyone. I'd like to thank Your Majesty's leadership in upholding cross-national happiness as a guiding light for governance that stands as a beacon for the world. The topic that I have been asked to explore today is, what does it mean to truly develop? And without further ado, we'll dive right in. Now see, if a plant is healthy and fit, we can say it is happy and progressing well. What about animals? If an animal is healthy, fit, and feels his family is well protected, then we can say he's doing well. What about humans? Is being healthy and fit good enough? What if one's relationships are not doing well? Does one feel happy in life? What if one is not feeling a sense of progress, a sense of creativity at work? One feels a sense of stagnation, a purposelessness, a meaninglessness. And yet, human beings are so complex that human beings can have a perfect personal life, a perfect professional life, and can still feel empty on the inside. And at the same time, our Eastern wisdom tells us that it is very well possible to feel full and blissful without material, social, and emotional needs being met in the usual way that we understand it. Well, this is because we are fundamentally spiritual beings. It's not like we have a soul. It's like our souls have a mind, our souls have a body, our souls have emotions as instruments. Animals and plants are also expressions of the spirit, but they are more spontaneous expressions of the spirit. A flower is not thinking, how do I bloom? What is my purpose of life? It's just spontaneously blossoming. As a human being, on the other hand, we have this capacity to become a self-aware and conscious expression of the spirit. It is for this reason we seek to discover, who am I? Why have I come on earth? What is my purpose in life? Life after life we take birth on earth. It cannot just be to live a very superficial material life. There has got to be a deeper purpose to life, a deeper purpose to earth. And it is for this reason, as human beings, we can never fully feel full when we are only and only achieving and developing outwardly. We thus seek to develop within. But what does it mean to truly develop within? And actually, the inner development forms the foundation of outer development. Because if one is not inwardly developing, then whatever outer development one fosters or goes after is pretty superficial in character. Now let us look at what does it mean to develop within. Now the mother, Mira Alfasa, Sri Aurobindo's spiritual collaborator, in one of her talks she defines it as, there are two particular aspects of inner development. The first is peace, the second is progress. And then she makes a tongue-in-cheek remark. She says, but you know what, most of us, we are really just seeking after peace. Hardly any one of us is truly, really seeking after progress. But progress is really the reason why we've taken birth on earth. And it is really the call of our times when the planet is going through a massive crisis. So let us first look at peace. As all spiritual traditions will tell us, peace is not attained through outer fulfillment. It is not something to be chased on the outside. One of the biggest mistakes of our current paradigm is we try to use material means to fulfill our psychological and spiritual needs. It's a fallacy. So peace is something to be discovered within. As Taittiriya Upanishads say, from delight indeed all beings are born, by delight they live and grow, into delight they enter at their passing. And we see it most vividly in children. Children don't really require a reason to be happy. They are happy just for existing. They will be happy to see the orange of a color. They'll be happy to see a carrot and explore the carrot for the first time. They're naturally happy and blossoming. It is because in our true and deep nature, we are this deep peace and happiness that we seem to be superficially seeking after. Now let us look at the second element of progress. Well, progress, first and foremost, contrary to where the current paradigm is headed, begins with purification of the ego. Otherwise, most of the time, the ego is busy with very superficial worldly concern. What do I get? What do I lose? You know, I like pleasure. I'm attached to pleasure. I'm averse to pain. I like praise. I like fame. But I don't like blame and bad reputation. Unless and until we evolve and purify at this level of purification of the ego, no amount of outer systemic change is going to be real, true, and transformative. So from the purification of the ego comes the discovery of who I really am. Am I this identity? Am I this position? Am I this title that I hold, this degree that I have done? Who am I truly? I am the divine in expression. And this is the second aspect of inner progress. The third is the development of our faculties. Our modern education system primarily focus on academic mental development. Even in the name of extracurricular activities, we go only so far to develop a little bit of the body and a little bit of our vitality. But unless and until we discover the science and art of developing our emotions, what does it mean to be emotionally empathetic, emotionally sensitive, emotionally understanding, to read that which is not spoken? And unless and until we know how do you master energy and use energy as a force to serve a higher purpose and not just a force to fulfill one's own limited, narrow, egoistic ambitions. And what does it mean to have a control over senses, a refinement of senses? What does it mean to truly enjoy life? Then the education is not complete. So when all three of these, a purified ego, discovery of who one truly is, the development of one's faculty comes at the service of a higher purpose, one begins to truly progress. Now let us look at what does it mean to develop as a collective. Before that, let us look at what is a collective. Is collective merely a group of individuals, or is it something more? Just like an individual has the soul and its 5 instruments, the society also has the soul and its 5 instruments. For instance, as an individual, we have the mind. As a collective, as a society, we have the department, or we have the element of education. As an individual, we have emotions. As a collective, we have family, marriage, community. As an individual, we have energy. And as a collective, we have entrepreneurship. As an individual, we have senses. As a collective, we have art, theater, restaurants. As an individual, we have the body. And as a collective, we have the environment and the architecture. Now, the most supreme part. As an individual, we have a soul. And as a collective, we have a soul culture. Every collective, every nation is not just a state, it is a soul in action. Now, what do I mean by that? And this is the most important part, because you see, if the soul element is not there, then entrepreneurship becomes the pursuit of earning money for the sake of earning money. Money is a means, it is not a goal. So when the element of soul values is absent from the society, then any amount of development in any of the social elements doesn't really carry the essence of our being, the essence of development. So let us look at what about the soul culture. The first element is each soul culture is unique. What do I mean by that? Of course, every culture is a unique expression of the divinity. The way we dress up, for instance, in Rajasthan is very different from how we dress up in Bhutan. It's very different to how we dress up in Gujarat. And this infinite variety that we find it in food also. One of the things that I often wonder is, at the end of the day, food is fuel for the body. And God could have just made, a little bit of fuel, you go take fuel, and you live about rest of the day. But, God chose to give us this infinite variety when it comes to each and every dimension of life. And that's an expression of the God's love. So this culture is not just manifest outwardly, that each culture is unique, but each culture is unique in the sense each culture, each soul culture has a unique and special gift to offer to the world. And the way I see it, the gift that countries like India and Bhutan have to offer to the world is the gift of spirituality. That is the true and deep purpose of the existence of these very nations. And these must exist not just for its own sake, but for the contribution it has to make as a leader on the global platform. Because today, if there is one thing that globally, with increasing depression rates, with an ecological crisis, the one thing that is really needed is the spiritual gift of East to the world. And it is not a coincidence that Bhutan has initiated GNH and India is the birthplace of yoga. Just like it is the dharma of America to give the spirit of enterprise and innovation to the world, it is the dharma of countries like India and Bhutan to give spirituality to the world. The second aspect of the soul culture is that each culture seeks to realize deeper values. If you look at all nations, all societies across the world, somewhere they are pursuing, even if they may be pursuing it in a limited way, somewhere they are pursuing the Satyam Shivam Sundaram, somewhere they are pursuing the true, good and beautiful, which is why nations across the world have institutions of justice, have institutions of philanthropy, has institutions of poverty alleviation. It is because each culture seeks to realize the deeper soul values. Now, in order to really begin to cultivate these soul values, the foundation is really in education. This is what Mirra Alfasa, the mother Shribindo spiritual collaborator and also the founder of Oroville, the place where I come from. It's a small little city in the making in the south of India with individuals from 66 plus different nationalities who've come together to really explore what does it mean to build a new society from a new consciousness? What does it mean to redefine relationships? What does it mean to redefine work, education, or collectively even infrastructure, collectively economy, when the intention is to express the soul values in life? So she says that individuals will be able to grow and develop integrally without losing touch with their souls. Education would be given not for passing examinations or obtaining certificates and posts, but to enrich existing faculties and bring forth new ones. This does not mean that assessment and education is not important. What it means is the pursuit of certification, the pursuit of degree for the sake of it. That is a limitation. Similarly, in business, it's not like money is bad or business is bad, but the pursuit of money for its own sake, that is an issue. So, skill development is not the only aim of education. Soul development is the aim of education. And with soul development comes the development of wanting to serve. Yesterday over dinner, I was talking to somebody from the Tharayana Foundation, and I asked him, why is it that, you're doing this work that you're doing? He said, because I'm deeply fulfilled in the act of service. So in gross national happiness, if there is the single most indicator that contributes to happiness, is the feeling that I'm meaningfully contributing to the collective, that I am an instrument of service. So aim of education is not just skills, but also soul and service. And if one has to redefine education, one has to definitely redefine work also, because in the society where we live in, mostly education is supposed to train you to be a part of the workforce. Education is looked at as skill development to be able to be a part of the workforce. Mother Mira Alfasa, she redefines work as work would not be a way to earn one's living, but a way to express oneself and to develop one's capacities and possibilities while being of service to the community as a whole. This is such a big shift in paradigm, because often we perceive work is a cost I have to pay. It's a burden on my shoulders in order to acquire. According to the materialist, consumerist paradigm, work is something I have to give to the society so that I can get the money, so that then I can enjoy life. Whereas work itself is an expression of joy in action. It's the space where one can really grow one's capacities and possibilities and the flowering of one's own soul. Now, this may feel like, oh, this is all very overly idealistic, but if there's one place that can really initiate something like this, it is a country like Bhutan. And one must also not forget that, it's not like we are we're not competing against GDP. It's not like GNH versus GDP, like, Sir Andrew mentioned in the morning, that GDP is one part of the GNH, and GDP has its role to play in the sense it brings about material advancement, technological advancement, scientific development, material efficiency, growth of vitality, and several other things. The only biggest problem with it is these are all means. Technical advancement cannot be the aim of humanity on earth. Scientific development cannot be the aim of it all. These are means. So Oroville and places like Bhutan are establishing a new goal for the means given by economic growth. And for this to happen, spirituality must not just be one dimension of GNH. It must be the very foundation of it. And this may sound like, spirituality, isn't it very abstract and metaphysical? How can it be the foundation of GNH? Well, this is a very practical way to understand it. Let us look at environmental conservation. When it comes to environmental conservation, we can work on symptoms. We can work on, landfills. We can work on greening. But deeper than symptoms come systems, where we begin to start developing a cyclical economy and not just a linear economy. But deeper than that is a change in consciousness. When you truly and deeply care for Mother Nature, where you really feel, not just as a concept that, man and nature are one, but that the fact that nature is my mother. When you really experience, when we call it Mother Earth, when you really start to experience it as your mother, you will automatically build everything that is in resonance with that. So change of consciousness through education is really the foundation of the change that we are seeking. And with that, I'd like to conclude with saying that, especially, in this eastern part of the world, if we look at, the ancient age, it really focused on the attainment of the inner truth, of enlightenment, and slowly it was beginning to reject life. And as we've entered modern age, there's so much more focus on mastery over life. But one is rejecting the inner inner dimension, the softer dimension. And the future is a spiritual age wherein you master life through the attainment of inner truth. Not with, not and, through the attainment of inner truth. With that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you very much.